Hey film fans, welcome to CinePro.
Bak hala duruyor. Çık diyorum sana, anlamıyorum.
İmkanınız var ya, ailecek göreceksin.
Yok, müsaitim. Söylesen.
Your ultimate hub for all movie recaps, from heartwarming classics to the latest blockbusters. We move to Seema, who is on the road at night, wanting to stop a car to give her a ride after leaving her two sisters at the hotel. Two harassers bother her, but by coincidence, Sinan passes by in his car, sees them while driving, stops, gets out, and protects her even though he doesn't know her. Seema decides to get into Sinan's car. After Sinan drives the harassers away, he asks her to get out, but she asks him to take her because she can't be left on the road like that. Sinan agrees to drive her to the beginning of the road, but when they get there he finds she has fallen asleep, so he keeps driving. He stops at a bridge, gets out of the car, takes a rifle from the trunk, and throws it into the river to get rid of it. He returns to the car, and Seema wakes up. He tells her he was just resting for a bit on the bridge, and will continue there. He then drops her off at the hotel and asks her name before she gets out, introduces himself as well, and Seema says goodbye and enters the hotel. We go back to Tufan, who is being interrogated the next day. He says he did enter the wedding venue, but the guards at the gate didn't let him in, so he left and went to a henna party instead. He suggests they check the surveillance cameras at the henna party to confirm his story. The police confirm Tufan was at the henna party, which means he didn't kill Jamal. However, Tufan still faces another charge, kidnapping Denise, and Denise's testimony in court will be crucial to his conviction. At this time, we see Arhan going to Denise at the hotel to reconcile, but he learns she went to the airport with her sisters. He rushes to the airport, running to catch her, but finds the plane has already taken off. He stands, watching the plane sadly, then goes to the courtroom and sits with his family to wait. When Tufan enters, he looks at Mr. Hakim as they take him past them, and the trial begins. They are surprised when Tufan's lawyer says Denise will change her testimony. They are shocked to hear this, and then Denise enters the courtroom. We learn that Mr. Hakim called Denise before her flight, and asked her not to get on the plane and to come instead. Denise begins to give her testimony, looking at Mr. Hakim. We learn that Mr. Hakim asked her an hour earlier to go to court and change her statement, explaining that he spoke to Tufan and made a deal with him to find out who the real criminal is in exchange for Denise changing her testimony. Denise does change her testimony in court, saying that Tufan did not kidnap her, and that she went with him of her own free will. Arhan doesn't understand why she's doing this. Out of anger, he gets up and leaves the courtroom. Outside, he gets angry with her, doesn't give her a chance to defend herself, accuses her of dishonor, and tells her she must have been involved with her cousin Tufan, and that's why she's protecting him. Denise is hurt by this, and leaves. Later, we see Fernando with Tufan in the car to meet Mr. Hakim. Meanwhile, Erhan learns from Shihan's brother what their grandfather did. Shihan, being cunning and wanting to create conflict between Erhan and their grandfather, exploits the situation and tells Erhan that their grandfather is meeting Tufan at the farmhouse. At that time, Tufan is indeed with Mr. Hakim, telling him that when he left the wedding, he saw a red car with someone getting out carrying a rifle case, but he didn't notice who it was or the car's number. He tells Mr. Hakim he has fulfilled their agreement, gets up to leave, but Fernando stops him. Mr. Hakim tells him he will remain detained until they verify his story and find the red car. At that moment, Erhan bursts in and attacks Tufan, beating him. They pull him away and Mr. Hakim shouts at him, explaining that he had to release Tufan to find the real criminal. Erhan replies that this move made him lose his wife after accusing her of dishonor, and he leaves. Back at the family home, Rosa is upset and angry at what Mr. Hakim did because he made Denise change her testimony and got Tufan released. So she goes to Ms. Hakim's office without his knowledge, opens the drawer, takes out a box and pulls out a gun. At night, she goes to the place where Tufan is being held, sneaks in past the guards, enters Tufan's room with the gun raised. Tufan tries to calm her down, quickly grabs the gun, fights with her to take it, manages to get the gun and leaves, holding Rosa hostage and threatening the guards that he'll kill her. The guards get scared, lower their weapons and let him out. Tufan pushes Rosa away and escapes. When Mr. Hakim finds out what happened, he is shocked and has a heart attack and is taken to the hospital. At that time, Erhan is with Denise, trying to get her to forgive him and asking her for another chance, promising he won't act impulsively again and will listen to her first. Then they hear that Mr. Hakim was taken to the hospital, so they rush there. The family waits for the doctor to come out and reassure them. Ginal keeps blaming Denise as usual, and Erhan asks her to stop because it's not the right time. The doctor comes out and reassures them that Mr. Hakim's condition is stable, so they feel relieved. The doctor says Mr. Hakim specifically asked for Denise to come in and speak to him. Denise enters and talks to Mr. Hakim, who apologizes to her for asking her to change her testimony in court, which caused her relationship with Erhan to suffer. He promises her that he will step in and fix things, and will also make sure to protect her from Tufan since he escaped from them. The next day, Mr. Hakim returns home and asks Denise to support him along with his wife Henzi. They enter his room, and Denise, being a doctor, takes care of him, telling him what he can and cannot eat. Mr. Hakim shows Ginal that he welcomes Denise very much at that time. Tufan goes to Mr. Ashraf and his son Sinan and asks them to help him. Ashraf tells him they've helped him before and that's enough, but Tufan tells them he still has many services he can offer. Mr. Ashraf becomes interested and listens, while at the same time, Lal sees her father talking to Tufan. She wants to leave and go to the Erhan family house, but her father stops her and decides to lock her in her room because she refuses to get Erhan out of her mind and insists on going to him. He takes her to her room, locks the door and leaves her inside. He then goes to Erhan, who learns from Barmanda that Tufan went to Mr. Ashraf's house. Erhan decides to go there with his men to catch him. Erhan arrives and enters Mr. Ashraf's house without permission, calls out for Tufan, and yells at him. Ashraf talks to him and denies that Tufan is there, and to provoke him, tells him he wasn't the one who asked his wife Denise to change her testimony and clear Tufan. Erhan tries to control his anger upon hearing this, and leaves because he didn't find Tufan there. But then he is surprised to find Lal hiding in his car. She tells him she ran away from her father because he locked her up, and asks Erhan to take her with him. Erhan doesn't know what to do. We go to Anzli, who at that time is talking to her sister Seema. As usual, Seema tells her she cares too much about Denise, as if she were her own daughter, and that because of her, they are attached to this town, unsure whether they will travel or stay. Seema's words affect Anzli and make her recall memories, revealing a big truth. Denise is actually her daughter whom she gave birth to, but kept it a secret. We see her mother in the past, holding baby Denise and warning her to never show anyone she is her daughter, and that they must continue pretending she's her sister in front of people so no one discovers her scandal. This is the secret she's hiding from Denise and everyone. Back to the present, we go to Mr. Hakim's room as he informs Jihan of his decision. Erhan will take over the family business until he recovers his health. Jihan is shocked by the decision because he considers himself more deserving of running the company, having worked for many years with him. Unlike Erhan, he wants to know why Hakim prefers Erhan over him and cannot accept the decision. His mother, Jinal, asks him not to respond to his grandfather that way, but Jihan gets upset and leaves the room, followed by his mother. She tries to calm him down and we learn he once drank and had an accident that killed his wife and left his son in a wheelchair. He feels everyone always blames him for what happened and never sees him as responsible. His mother tells him not to think this way, to take care of himself, quit drinking, and that things will get better. Jihan tells her she will never see him or love him like Erhan, then leaves the house. After that, we see Erhan arriving home with Lal. Denise sees them and is upset. Erhan follows her and tries to explain what happened, but of course Denise feels jealous and annoyed by Lal's presence in the house. Later, Lal goes to talk to Denise and tells her she will live here now after leaving her family home, and says provocatively that after Erhan divorces her, she'll take care of him. Denise replies that this won't happen because her relationship with Erhan is good and they'll never leave each other. When she turns around, she finds Erhan standing behind her, having heard everything. She goes to her room and Erhan follows. To prove his love, he takes out the divorce paper, tears it up, and promises that once he finds the criminal who killed her brother, he will make it up to her for everything. He hugs her, and their relationship is restored. Just then, there's a knock at the door. Erhan goes out to talk to Barmanda and learns they found the red car. Erhan and Barmanda go to see it, but as they approach, the car suddenly explodes, and the only evidence they were chasing is gone. Erhan realizes it was a trap set by Tufan to kill him, and swears that when he finds him, he won't spare him. The next day, the family gathers for breakfast, with Denise having cooked herself. Jinal and Lal say they have no appetite, but Arhan tells them to sit with them even if they don't eat, so they join the table. While eating, Denise tells Arhan she will work at the hospital today because her colleague told her they are short on doctors. Jinal intervenes, saying it's not suitable for someone from the family, and Mr. Hakim agrees. Deniz says it's her decision and what she wants to do. Arhan supports his wife's decision, and Deniz gets Mr. Hakim's approval to work at the hospital. She leaves with Arhan to drop her off. The family continues breakfast, and we see Jihan's son Jen directing his words at Lal, asking why she's in the house after causing conflicts between their families. Jihan tells him not to speak rudely again, but Jen stubbornly responds. Jihan gets angry and goes after his son to discipline him. In the room, Jan challenges him to hit him while he's in the wheelchair and tells him he caused the accident that killed his mother. He also reveals he knows about his father's secret relationship with his grandfather's wife, shocking his father. At that moment, Jinal hears them from outside but doesn't understand the relationship Jan is talking about. Jihan leaves the room and sees her, asks her not to go into his son because he's punishing him by locking him up, and leaves. Jinal tries to understand what she heard and begins to suspect there might be a relationship between Jihan and someone in the house, piecing things together and suspecting that person might be Hanzi. Meanwhile, we see Anjali walking with her sister Seema in the market. By chance, Anjali sees a man she thinks is Khalil, her lover and Deniz's father. She is stunned to see him getting into his car and leaving, as she never imagined she would see him again. At the same time, Jihan is driving when cars block his way. He gets out to see what they want and finds Mr. Ashraf and his son Sinan. Ashraf tells him it's time for them to talk. At that moment, Deniz is at the hospital, enters the director's office, and is surprised to find the hospital director is Khalil. Neither of them recognizes the other. She doesn't know he's her father, and he doesn't know she's his daughter. Meanwhile, Jinal enters the room to talk to her grandson Jan about what she heard. Jan tries to avoid the subject, but she insists he tell her the truth. When Jan confirms there is a relationship between his father and his grandfather's wife, Jinal is deeply shocked. We return to Jihan, who at that time is listening to Mr. Ashraf tries to offer a deal to Jihan behind his grandfather's back, but Jihan refuses his offer, gets up and leaves. Ashraf is surprised when Jihan tells him that he knows about the trucks carrying secret goods and that he could let his grandfather know about it. At that moment, Jihan pretends not to know what Ashraf is talking about and leaves without reaching an agreement. But he is clearly worried because he did not expect Mr. Ashraf to know about the matter. We return to Jinal, who sends for Hanzi to come speak with her in her room. As soon as Hanzi enters, Jinal surprises her and slaps her, telling her that she knows about her relationship with her son Jihan. Hanzi responds shamelessly, saying that thanks to her, Jihan is still alive because she was the only one who stood by him during his crisis. She challenges Jinal to have the courage to go to Mr. Hakim and expose them, because if that happens, Mr. Hakim will throw Jinal and her 2 children out of the house, and they will all lose. Of course, Jinal cannot carry out her threat, and Jihan is shocked, hangs up on her and is angry that his mother found out. Afterwards, we see Erhan going to the family company and asking the employee for the financial reports for the whole year. She tells him she will prepare them and send them to him. Meanwhile, Jinal confronts her son Jihan, who defends himself by saying that Hanzi was the only one who cared for him and begs his mother not to tell anyone. She assures him she won't expose him because after all, he is her son, but from now on he must obey her and end his relationship with Hanzi completely. On the same night, Hanzi calls Jihan to come talk to her because he has been ignoring her and not answering her calls all day. Jihan goes to her and tells her that they must end their relationship. Of course, Hanzi does not want this and tries to get closer to him, but he firmly tells her their relationship is over and that they must move on and focus on their own lives, then leaves her and walks out. The next day, Seema coincidentally sees Sinan while she is out walking. She hides so he won't see her. At that moment, we learn that she was actually awake when she was in his car and saw him throw the rifle into the river, but she pretended to be asleep. She wants to use this information, so she searches for his social media page and sends him a message. Sinan reads the message and finds someone demanding he leave 250,000 lira in a certain place, or else the police will find out he had a rifle in his car. Sinan becomes nervous and looks around. Hanzi goes to her husband, Mr. Hakim, in their room, crying and asking him to secure her future because she feels that as soon as he dies, the family will throw her out of the house. She wants him to cancel the prenuptial agreement, so she can inherit like the rest of the family members. Mr. Hakim is not convinced and doesn't see the need for her worries. Hanzi tells him he doesn't understand her and that after all these years he's proving he never loved her. She leaves the room. Meanwhile, Erhan's secretary gives him the company's financial files, and when he reviews them, he discovers that trucks left with goods, but the financial returns were not recorded in the accounts. This means there is suspicion of embezzlement. Erhan goes to Jihan's office to ask him, but Jihan pretends he knows nothing about these records. tries to cover up and accuses their brother Jamal, saying he was responsible for the trucks and goods. Since Jamal is dead, they won't know where the money went. Erhan believes his brother because he has no reason to doubt him, but says they still need to investigate in case someone is embezzling from the company behind their backs. When Erhan leaves, we see Jihan clutching his chest, relieved he wasn't exposed. Erhan returns to his office and asks his secretary to bring him all the reports and invoices, so he can review them himself. We return to Seema, who goes to the agreed place, hides behind a tree, and waits until she sees a man arrive, put the money bag down and leave. She approaches and takes the money, but as she tries to leave, she finds Sinan in front of her, having set a trap. She raises her voice and threatens to scream if he does anything to her, but Sinan calms her down and tells her he didn't kill Jamal if that's what she thought. He explains that he did buy a rifle from someone after his sister tried to hurt herself to get revenge on Erhan, but changed his mind, got rid of the rifle and threw it in the river so no one would find it with him. Seema believes him and asks him to take her to a restaurant because she's hungry. At the restaurant, Sinan talks to her and gets to know her better, liking her personality. He is surprised when Sana tells him she is Deniz's sister, Erhan's wife, something he didn't know. We leave them and go to Miss Kaim, who enters the room and talks to Hanzi, who is still showing that she is sad and insecure about her future in the house. He surprises her by telling her that he called the lawyer and canceled the prenuptial agreement, meaning she will inherit after his death. Hanzi is overjoyed and at that moment receives a call from Jahan. She goes out to answer and Jahan tells her that Erhan is reviewing the company files and will definitely discover the embezzlement and expose him. At the same time, Barmando is passing by the company and hears Jahan saying he will go to the farmhouse and asks Hanzi to meet him there. Barmando doesn't know who Jahan is talking to but hears him say he's going to the farmhouse. That same day, we see Ainzi going to the hospital to meet Deniz. When she sees Deniz standing with her father Khalil, she is shocked and tries to avoid being seen, quickly leaves, takes the elevator and calls Deniz to say she can't meet her. After that, the secretary gives the financial files to Mr. Hatim as Erhan requested. Mr. Hatim takes the files to see what's in them and is shocked when he learns about the trucks that left with Jahan's signature. He calls Barmando to ask about Jahan's whereabouts. Barmando tells him he heard Jahan say he was going to the farmhouse. Mr. Hatim decides to go there and confront him himself. At that time, Hanzi arrives at the farmhouse where Jahan is. She tells him that Mr. Hatim canceled the marriage agreement and that she will inherit just like any other family member. And now it's time for her to do without him, just as he once told her he didn't need her. Jahan approaches her and asks if she could really do without him. Mr. Hatim arrives at the farmhouse at that moment, enters and finds Jahan close to Hanzi, trying to seduce her. Mr. Hatim is shocked by the scene and suffers a heart attack. He tries to take his medicine from his pocket, but it falls from his hand. Jahan quickly moves to help him and give him the medicine, but Hanzi stops him. He looks at her and understands what she means. This is because now it is in both their interests to let him die, and indeed she makes him stop giving him the medicine, leaving him to suffer and be in pain. Jahan watches his grandfather suffer until he closes his eyes, which affects him, and Hanzi hugs him to comfort him as he cries. At that moment, they hear Barmando knocking on the door. Hanzi tells him to pretend to be surprised in front of Barmando about his grandfather's death. She takes the financial files with her and leaves through the back door, while Jahan opens the door for Barmando and pretends to be shocked because his grandfather died. Barmando rushes in to check on him, then turns to Jahan and tells him that his grandfather still has a pulse and is alive, and that he will call an ambulance. Jahan is shocked because he thought he was dead, and this is a disaster for Jahan and Hanzi because Mr. Hakim Al-Ofa will expose them. We then go to the family at the hospital, then comes out and informs them that Mr. Hakim is still alive. Then Dr. Khalil comes out and tells them that Mr. Hakim's condition is unstable and he might fall into a coma, so everyone is scared and worried about him. Erhan asks Barmando why his grandfather went to the farmhouse, and Barmando tells them he went there to meet Jahan. Erhan then talks to Jahan and asks him what happened, and Jahan says that as soon as his grandfather entered, he showed signs of fatigue and had an attack. Of course, in this situation, Jahan and Hanzi are very anxious, and they don't want Mr. Hakim to survive. Jahan leaves the hospital feeling anxious, and Hanzi follows him, trying to calm him down. She tells him that Mr. Hakim will surely die because if he survives, they will go to jail, and he must think carefully before ruining everything. That night passes, and the next day we see Janal talking to her son Jahan privately. She tells him that she has decided to marry him to Lal. Jahan is surprised, but she tells him that this is her final decision and he must obey her because she knows what's best for him. She enforces her will on him, gathers them with Lal, and they agree to the marriage. Lal doesn't want her father Ashraf to know about it until after the marriage contract is signed and he is faced with a fait accompli, because if he finds out he will certainly prevent it. Jahan is not happy about it, but listens to his mother and lets her do what she wants. On that day we see Hanzi going to a mountainous area and calling someone named Kihan, her brother. She tells him she needs someone else killed urgently, this time her husband in the hospital, because if he wakes up everything she did will be lost. Jahan agrees and says he will do it gladly, just as he killed Jamal before, he will kill her old husband. We then see Danunz when she finds out that Lal is marrying Jahan, and naturally she suspects her intentions. Later Lal comes to her room, brazenly asks about Erhan, and provokes her as usual, telling her that Erhan will be hers in the end. Danunz tells her that she is a sick person, knows her intentions well and will not allow her to carry out her evil plan. But Lal says she is sure Erhan will choose her over Danunz, and she will see it for herself in time. That same day at the hospital, Danunz talks to Anzi on the phone. Anzi is looking for a place to rent instead of her expensive stay at the hotel. Danunz tells her she will ask her colleagues and see if anyone can help. Danunz then talks to Dr. Khalil and asks if he knows of an apartment her sister could rent. Khalil tells her there is an empty apartment next to his, and he can give her the landlord's number to contact and rent it. Meanwhile, Erhan is in his grandfather's office and can't find the financial files. He calls the secretary and learns that she gave the files to his grandfather. Erhan then talks to Bermando and asks if his grandfather had the files when he went to the farmhouse. Bermando confirms he saw the files with his grandfather, but they disappeared afterward and were not found at the farmhouse. At that point, Erhan feels something is wrong. That day, Jahan calls Lal and asks her to come out and meet him, so he can take her in his car to a certain place. At the hospital we see Erhan and Hanzi checking with Danunz on Mr. Hakim's condition in intensive care. At that moment we see Hanzi's brother Kihan hiding. When Hanzi notices him, she goes to talk to him in private and asks him to be careful and come at a time when there is no guard at the room door. Jahan says he'll keep waiting for the right moment. We return to Jahan, who goes to Mr. Ashraf's house to ask for his permission to marry his daughter Lal. Of course, Mr. Ashraf tells him he does not agree. At night, we see Denise visiting Ansley in the new house she rented, not knowing that her neighbor next door is Khalil. The next day is the day of Jahan and Lal's marriage contract. They are preparing at home for the marriage contract ceremony, and Arhan insists to the guards that they must be careful, hinting that they expect Mr. Ashraf will try to prevent the marriage. But the surprise is that Mr. Ashraf comes himself, and they are worried he might do something. But he surprises them when he puts the necklace on his daughter himself and agrees to her marriage to Jahan. To understand why he changed his mind, we go back to the previous day, when Jahan visited him and told him that he would be responsible for the family after his grandfather's death, and that in this case there would be cooperation between them. Ashraf asks him how he can be sure that his daughter is not being forced to marry him, and Jahan surprises him by bringing her to ask for his permission. She tells him that she is not being forced and really wants to marry Jahan. At that moment, Mr. Ashraf tells Jahan that his only condition is that he promises to treat his daughter well, and Jahan promises to take care of her. We return the present, and we understand why Mr. Ashraf agreed to this marriage. The marriage contract ceremony begins and goes smoothly. On the same night, Khalil goes to visit his new neighbor to introduce himself, and he is shocked to find that she is Anzali. She also cannot believe it, and finally, after all these years, fate has brought them together in this situation. That same night, we see Denise leaving the intensive care unit and informing the guard, Farhat, that Mr. Hakim has woken up. She is happy and calls his wife Henzi to tell her the news. Henzi is shocked, and Denise tells her that she will come home and inform everyone. Henzi calls Jahan and asks him to meet her immediately. Jahan goes to meet her, and she tells him what happened. Jahan cannot believe that everything they have done is about to be lost like this. Henzi tells him they have to act quickly and do something before it's too late, and she tells him she has an idea but needs his help. He must intervene and distract the guard at his grandfather's room so someone can finish him off. Jahan thinks about her words and tells her he has made his decision. He surprises her by telling her that she must leave and escape from the house, and he will handle the matter alone. This is his final decision, and he will bear the consequence. Henzi cannot believe that everything between them is ending, and she cries. Jahan hugs her and tells her to run and save herself, and she listens to him and they part ways. Meanwhile, Lal goes to Arhan's room and takes advantage of the fact that he is alone. Arhan asks her to leave because her being with him in the room at this time is not appropriate. At that moment, Lal confesses to him that she will marry Jahan's brother just to be close to him, and asks why he doesn't love her even though she is devoted to him. Arhan refuses to listen to her, and Lal is affected and cries, assuring him that she will not give up hope in him. Arhan tells her she must understand that she is like a sister to him. Nothing more, but Lal is in denial and cannot accept that Arhan will not be her husband. Arhan is harsh with her so that she will leave the room, and Lal leaves, affected. A little later, Denise arrives home and tells Arhan the news. He tells her that he loves her and they share a romantic moment as the first season of the series ends. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel.